Because now I get negatively affected because YouTube systems don't work and people are breaking the law. This is income out of my pocket. This is income that I depend on every month that has been consistent. And now I don't get it because of scumbags. Okay? Yes, that pisses me off. And in views. I don't want to be Mr. View. I need banana, tasty banana, put banana in my mouth, squeeze the peel, it comes in, then squeeze banana. Alright, good morning everyone, and welcome back to DSP Gaming, and welcome to the Level 1 Podcast. Today is Saturday, the 27th of August, 2022, and you may be saying, Saturday? Why are we coming back on a Saturday? How weird. I know. Last week was an odd week. The schedule was a little different. I actually streamed all the way through Thursday, meaning yesterday, Friday was my day off. And today, essentially, is the first day of my streaming week. Now, similar to last week, this week coming up also is a little weird. I'm off on Thursday, which would be the normal. So that means I'm here Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A 5-day streaming week for me this week. And what a week it's going to be. It's going to be an amazing week of variety and fun. Here on DSP Gaming, if we manage to stave off the whole attacks on the channel that I've been having in the last week in particular. It all started late last week when I was going to do my live react to This Is How You Don't Play Metal Gear Solid 2. Immediately started having trollish activities happen. Just a quick recap in the last week. First, they tried to strike down DSP Gaming with community guideline strikes. It did not work, and instead I got a bunch of videos flagged as adult only, but that's about it. It's all for language of the way I used to say things, 5 to 10 or more years ago in very old videos. Then they said, well, let's hit them with false copyright strikes. And man, they tried. It didn't work because I got 2 strikes, not 3. If I had 3 strikes, the channel would have been shut down. But I got 2 strikes against the channel. Falsified, of course. Complete bullshit. I've already counter-noticed them. The problem is YouTube doesn't care. I contacted YouTube the day they hit, and they said, oh, don't worry. We're going to look into this and get back to you within 24 hours. And they didn't. They ghosted me. As of today, I still have not heard from them. Everything went wrong on YouTube. I'm not planning on hearing from them. If I need to reach out again for some reason, I'll try, but they just don't care. They're impersonal, even though they have a customer service line for people like me who've had a channel as long as I have, and I'm a verified partner. They just still don't care. In their mind, as long as we're protected as a business, we don't really care about what else happens. So as long as they have a process by which copyright strikes can be processed and counterclaimed, they don't care about anything else that happens in between. Your business gets shut down, who cares?
They don't care. YouTube does not care.
Same attitude they had 7 years ago when this happened last. Nothing's changed. So, with all that being said, 2 strikes against the channel. At any moment, YouTube could decide to process another false strike as real, and this channel could get shut down, which is why I keep telling you guys, I'm lucky. I'm actually quite shocked. That kind of shocked me. Very shocked that I'm here today, several days later after the false copyright strikes, and that I'm still able to be here with you guys. I thought for sure by now they would have idiotically granted more false strikes, but apparently not. And again, I don't know if it's because maybe I talked to them and they did do something behind the scenes, but they don't say anything. They literally do nothing to explain, and they're not transparent, so who knows? All right, but anyway, the only reason I bring it up again is to warn you guys, if this channel goes away, if this stream goes dead and it's not coming back for some reason, if the channel disappears, is suspended, or doesn't exist, likely another false strike is coming through the pipeline, and I can't do anything about that right now. So there will be a backup plan in place. Head to my Twitter at TheyCallMeDSP, where I will relay such a plan to you, and you'll know where to go. No, the content's not going to stop. No, my streams are not going to stop. They are going to continue. None of this is going to affect me. Okay? Well, maybe or maybe not. Here's how I say that. Because it does affect me. Even though I'm not going to be deterred and I'm not going to be defeated. It's affected me concretely in 2 different ways. Allow me to explain. Number 1, take a look at this. Member goal of 391. We started off this month with over 600 members, right? And I told you guys, hey, you know, we're going to have a great goal. It's a rage-a-thon and all of that. And we were working towards, at one point we had over 550 members, and we were getting towards the 600 goal that I had for the month. And then what happened? This. And what happens when I get false copyright strikes and when my channel is in jeopardy of being suspended? People aren't going to renew their existing memberships because they're worried if they renew it and then I get suspended for 2 weeks that they're not going to get their benefits. And number 2, no one's going to come and gift memberships to the channel. It's bullshit because now I get negatively affected because YouTube systems don't work and people are breaking the law. This is income out of my pocket. This is income that I depend on every month that has been consistent. And now I don't get it because of scumbags. Okay? Yes, that pisses me off. Fucking Pen 8 points to highlight his message saying tips don't work when they do. You got a dickhead complaining that I didn't make a video for the 50 vest streak. You got dickheads spamming the stupid detractor memes they've been doing for 4 straight fucking months. You know what? It's a bunch of fucking dickheads and I'm tired of it. I just want to relax on my own stream. So I'm sorry that they're working me up tonight. They're pissing me off and they're working me up. And I apologize because I hate dickheads. Okay. Well, and in addition, as I told you guys before my break, I received hundreds of dollars in chargebacks for tips on PayPal. And no, it was not the people who had actually been very generous on the day I announced the copyright strikes. It was from a week or 2 previous. People who had tipped and basically were waiting to be dicks about it, which makes me feel like this really was a concentrated, concerted effort. Because how did it all strike at once if they were laying the groundwork for this for weeks at a time, right? And it's pretty fucked up because, again, I had a really good supportive day on the day I announced the copyright strikes, and then it basically gets negated when the next day I lose hundreds of dollars of those contributions because of chargebacks, okay? So, simply put, I appreciate you all still being here. I appreciate you all still supporting in any way that you can. Thank you for that. There's no guarantees in life. We don't know what's going to happen. I could be here, no problem, and it will not affect anything, or the channel could be shut down in 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. I guess I'm still here for now, but you see, that's life. No guarantees, and I don't know what's going to happen. But thank you for those who are still here chilling with me. I really appreciate that. And any way that you could support the channel right now is much appreciated. This is a shorter streaming week for me. So tips would be great because that'll help pay for my day off coming up in only 6 days as opposed to the usual 7 days that I have to build up. I only have 6 this week. Yeah, whatever, man. And you know what? I don't blame you. If you don't become a member, if you don't up your membership, if you don't gift memberships, I can't blame you. I can't. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm so upset that people won't. I'm not going to do that. It's not your fault that people commit crimes against me and then YouTube allows it. It's just not your fault. And now I get it, you know. Again, it would have been one thing if we were all positive and there's just stuff going on. It's like, oh, look at all this negative shit. You know, yeah, it's bullshit. Again with stupid bullshit. I'm done. You know, 2 cool things to add and put into the rotation as of now. All right? So first of all, the first item. You ready? You ready for this? The first item is a meme. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, would you like an explanation of the meme? No! Oh, okay. The first item is a meme that has been a running meme here on my streams for many years. Inadvertently, people turned it into something that it wasn't, but I guess we should kind of explain. Many years ago, I think it was before I was even a full-time streamer. I think it was back in the day when I was doing just kind of the on-demand content, or at least that was my focus. I believe it was during an episode of Ask the King. Someone had asked me a story about toys and presents and things when I was a kid. I don't really remember how it got started, all right? But I told a story. The only way for you guys to understand it and put it into frame of reference is I got to tell the story again. Okay, so allow me to tell the story. Then I'll tell you what happened as a result of me telling the story many years ago, and then you're going to see where this is all going. So please bear with me. It's story time with DSP. All right, here we go. Story time. So, many years ago, when I was a child, I was heavily into comic books, or I was getting into comic books. And the original comic books that I got heavily into were the X-Men. And this was the time when the X-Men was splintering. It wasn't just the Uncanny X-Men anymore, but now they were getting a million other comics. The new X-Men title with Jim Lee art and Chris Claremont writing, and then there was the other ones, X-Force, X-Factor. Basically, X-Men was going to get like a million comics at once. And so I was heavily into it. I was reading them. I was really excited. And I started collecting not only the comics, but other things as well. I mean, I'm a kid. I want to play with action figures, right? So I had X-Men action figures when I was a kid. And there was one that came out that I wanted the worst, or the most, I should say, because it was my favorite character, Wolverine. All right? And they had already had a Wolverine action figure out, but it was the old version of Wolverine. That wasn't the current version. The current version was a certain suit color, blue and yellow, which actually was his original. Then in the comics, they had changed it over to this weird, almost brownish and yellow for a while, but then they changed it back to the blue. So everyone wanted an action figure that was representative of the current character. So when they released it, it was the hottest toy. And it ended up being so in demand, you really couldn't find it in many stores at all. It was like you go there, you see all the other ones. Oh, they got Cyclops, they got Jean, they got this character. Where is Wolverine? No one has this character. Okay? So, as a kid, Wolverine being my favorite X-Man, I want that figure. So I told my parents how badly I wanted it. And they said, well, it's not your birthday. It's not a holiday. Everyone, when would I get gifts when I was a kid? When would I actually receive a gift from my parents, like a toy? Christmas, my birthday, or if there was a special occasion, like, for example, let's say I did really good on my report card at school or something like that. This was when I was still in elementary school. Then I would get a reward, usually like one singular toy or something like that. Something like a new game console or something like that, that was a rarity that had to be built up in advance. My parents had to save up for it because they were pricey. It wasn't like I was in a family that had a ton of money and we could just get things constantly. In fact, I've told you guys this story before. I'll tell you this story too. When I was a kid, my mom and dad would go to the store together. All right? So let's say we were going to a store. First place we would go when we entered the store was the toy department. All right? My parents would say, okay, pick a toy. So I'd look at all the toys. Oh, look at this one. I want this one. So I would hold it and I would just have the toy in the cart with me. My parents would do all their shopping, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it was, because who knows, I'm talking about different kinds of stores that don't exist anymore. I guess today the closest thing would be like Target or Walmart. Back then they were called Bradley's, Caldors. That was the kind of store that they shopped at. Okay? So, I would sit there looking at the toy for an hour, 2 hours. And then, the end of the trip, when they were ready to check out, they said, okay, time to go back. Okay. We go back to the toy department. I put the toy back on the shelf, and that was it. We would leave. I didn't get the toy. I wasn't raised to expect to get anything unless it was a special occasion. So I knew when I went to that store, I wasn't getting anything. I could look at the toy. I could examine it. I could, read the box. I could think about maybe this is something that I want in the future when it's a special occasion, but I didn't just get it. Okay? That was just what I understood. That was how things were. Okay? So, when I go to stores and I see they have the Wolverine action figure, I know I'm not getting it. All right? But I say to my parents, hey, this is what I want. I love Wolverine. He's my favorite X-Man. If anything, if you could get me this figure, I would love it. And I turned to my mother and father and I said, guys, listen. I want that action figure for my birthday. So, please, what I would ask you, I've never asked you to do this before. We know how rare that figure is. We know we've been to stores endlessly and we've never seen it in the flesh. It's finally here in front of our faces. Please buy the figure now. Hide it from me for months until my birthday and give it to me on my birthday. This will ensure that I will get this action figure because we know how rare it is. And it's the first time we've seen it. And I begged with my parents and I pleaded with my parents to get it, right? And my parents say, okay, well, you hold it, look at it or whatever. And I remember once I had it in my hands, I looked at it and I wanted it so bad. And I told my parents, please, this is the figure I really, really want. Please get it for me for a holiday or something. Okay? So, here's what ends up happening. Okay? My parents didn't buy the figure then. And they didn't buy the figure at all. This was before the era of extreme demand for toys. And then I remember one time we were at a comic book store, because I was a comic book kid. I love going to comic book stores every week. And I went in there with my parents, and they had the Wolverine action figure, and it was expensive. It was hanging on the wall, and they were saying, you know, for sale, and it was like, I'm not even kidding, it was probably like $50. You know, average price of an action figure back then was probably like $5 to $7. So they're charging 10 times the asking price at a store because it's so rare. To which I said to my parents again, that's seriously all I want. Get it for me, please. They didn't get it. So what ended up happening was, holiday comes. I don't remember what holiday it was. It could have been my birthday. It could have been whatever. And all I'm thinking of is the Wolverine action figure in my head. I open all toys and think, it's not there. So what ends up happening? I'm disappointed, admittedly. I told my parents for months this was the only thing I wanted. And they tried to make up for it. I remembered, like, they got me a bunch of other stuff, but it's not anything I asked for or really wanted. I wanted the one thing, and they didn't get it for me because no one could get it anymore.
So my birthday came and passed, and guess what? My parents go, we're very sorry, Philip, but we couldn't find the action figure. I said, I told you to buy the figure. Why don't you listen to me? Like, it was such a no-brainer. All they had to do was buy it then. They could have hidden it forever. I would have never bugged them for it till my birthday. I knew I was going to get it on my birthday. Because they didn't buy it, I didn't get it. I didn't get that figure. I kid you not. I did not get that figure for almost a year. And the reason I got it is because the figure manufacturer realized it was so popular that they were idiots for not making enough. And yes, I see someone asking in the chat, yes, my parents did have the money to buy it. They were just fucking stupid.